Classic TV fans, welcome back to Infinite Sheep. I'm Earl at thelogbook.com with more blasts from the very local, very low-power analog TV past. And boy, have I got one for you. This is another one of those things with a story behind it. I think I have mentioned on more than one occasion how kind of the pivot point on which I went from board op to producing stuff was that I found I could speak video toaster very fluently, very quickly. The video toaster at the time, the video toaster was always an Amiga-based system that kind of did for video production what the Macintosh did for publishing, which was you could now produce reasonably high-quality stuff with minimal outlay, and we already had a video toaster at the station when I started there, which one guy, what was his name? Todd Robertson, I think? He knew how to use, to some extent. You know how to use the toaster part of it. Where I started messing around was with the Lightwave part of it, which I am not sure the station had ever used prior to that. A Lightwave being the early 3D animation program that was bundled with the video toaster. Whenever a UPN affiliate to be signed on as a sports station, one of the initial offerings was Arkansas Lady Razorbacks basketball. I mean, basically Arkansas women's basketball. Also known as the Ladybacks. Have quite a following, and I believe that that 95 into 96 season was a pretty good season for them, if I remember correctly. And we had arranged to carry and cover that. And so it kind of came down from the station manager's office across the building. I will say this about mom and pop TV, that is not where the money was. But it was kind of neat in that you could walk across the building and talk to the people who owned the place. That is something that is virtually impossible to do at a TV station now, because everything is bought and sold in groups, and you are never going to meet the people who actually own it, ever. You don't even exist in the same world as they do. Back in these low-budget days, that was possible, and furthermore, I think the thing that I found so appealing, the thing that I find so nostalgic about it that still kind of tugs at my heartstrings, is that there was nowhere to go but up. We were already the two last-rated TV stations in the market. It's not like we could make that worse. So anything goes. And so when you show up and say, oh, hey, I have figured out how to do Lightwave stuff, then that becomes a thing that hangs heavily from your tool belt. And it definitely was for mine. And so this was the open for our coverage of Lady Razorbacks basketball. We'll probably watch this a couple of times because I'll have to explain some stuff after you've seen it once.
Walton Arena in Fayetteville, Arkansas. It's Ladybacks basketball. University of Arkansas Ladybacks basketball, brought to you by Lindsay and Associates of Northwest Arkansas, Massey Harris Pontiac Buick GMC of Boonville, Brown Hiller Clark Insurance of Fort Smith, Salisaw, and Eureka Springs, Bank of Fayetteville, by Pearl Vision with offices in Central Mall and Northwest Arkansas Mall, and by Flying Possum Leather of Fayetteville.
Well, that was an exercise in excess. Okay, so a word about our Video Toaster 4000 or Video Toaster 4000 Lightwave setup. It was on an Amiga 4000. It had to be. You couldn't run the Video Toaster 4000 on anything less than an Amiga 4000. The animations had to render to the hard drive, and this was a case where I, used textures, I used anti-aliasing, I was trying to do something network quality, and it took days to render it. But to add insult to injury, it could only render 4 seconds at a time. So if you notice, it seems like every few seconds it changes, and suddenly we've got basketballs launching into space, going around the moon, re-entering the atmosphere. Why, I have no idea. I think it was because I was just trying to show off that, hey, we can do this now. And, of course it was me, so of course the basketball is going to launch into orbit. Why not? That was definitely excessive. Also, looking back at it now, a question I have for younger me is, okay, I still like that Art of Noise song myself that was used as the music bed. Were you trying to fit the whole song in there, young me? Because it sure seemed like you were. Anyway, I think the idea was, over some of that, there would be kind of a highlight reel like, this is what the Ladybacks did last week, and this is what this other team did in, earlier in their season, and now it's on. And then we would go to, here are our sponsors, here are your hosts. It wasn't going to be, the animation wasn't going to run the whole time. And then, to my horror, I remember at one point there was I believe the sponsors were there that were on that copy of it were kind of an example. I'm not sure we actually had all of those businesses as sponsors. I really have questions about Flying Possum Leather. How dare you? How dare you? Those poor flying possums were just living their best lives before you skinned them for leather. But it's all very excessive. Another case of I would do that very differently now. So, having told you about the 4-second thing, let's watch it a second time, see if you can spot it.
Walton Arena in Fayetteville, Arkansas. It's Ladybacks basketball.
Okay, so yeah, now you see it. 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. Change scene. 2, 3, 4. It just keeps going like that. I don't think it's necessary to watch the whole thing again because, boy, does it go on and on. To my amazement, this won an award. I think it was January or February of '96 were the Addies. I ponied up my own money to enter my own stuff because the station was not budgeted to do that for me. And so I just decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to enter my own stuff. I'm going to pay to go to the dinner, and I'm going to network with people I'd rather be working with. Because there was I had hit the ceiling of what I was going to be doing at Ferris Broadcasting. There was no up to go to. And so, kind of interesting. This says KPBI, but I distinctly remember this as being a KFDF thing because we were Sports 32. And that's wild because I entered those awards thinking okay, I'm going here as a networking thing. I'm going to have to shake off my aversion to, being around people. Ugh. And get out and rub elbows with some people and make some contacts and start looking for the exit. Well, nothing came from that in terms of job searching, but to my amazement, I won 2 awards. Which, that still amazes me looking back at that piece of animation, because it seems so amateurish now. But at the time, for someone to be doing this in market and not farming it out to someone in Little Rock or Dallas or Tulsa or LA, I think that was kind of the big deal. It was like, whoa, someone did this in the Fort Smith market? And then, that kicked off kind of an arms race of the other stations farming stuff out to agencies in other cities, because it was like, oh crap, we're doing 3D now? Okay, we're doing 3D. We're all doing 3D. And all of a sudden they all had better 3D than we did. But we still made a big deal in our pitch to potential advertising clients. Oh, hey, we can do 3D. We're the only station in the market doing our own 3D. It's this one guy locked in there all night with a video toaster and Lightwave, but we do 3D now. So that's the story of the basketball. I remember the end credits, but I cannot find, sadly, a copy of them on tape, because it was that same wooden surface, except the basketball was now wearing sunglasses and was just dribbling itself while all the names scrolled by. And I think it was actually a better piece of animation than anything in the open. But sadly, I can't find it. So, there you go. If you were around at that time and ever saw that open and wondered, why the hell are we suddenly seeing planets instead of the basketball? That's the story. That's how that happened. And somehow, and I'm still surprised by it, it was deemed good enough to win an award.